rise and shine.
Rise and shine, chop chop.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day.
Rise and shine, rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
You guys are nerds.
This is exactly what the nerds want.
Our name shall become legend, spoken in hushed tones by nerds across the galaxy.
If you build it, nerds will come.
Nerds must love this place.
They think we're a bunch of nerds, and I'll tell you something, I think they're right.
Let the nerds take over.
Let the nerds take over!
Rise and shine, nerds. We hope you've got your coffee because it's time for our brand new morning show for Love Thy Nerd and anyone who finds themselves at the cross section of nerd culture and church culture. I'm Radio Matt. I'm the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd.
And I'm Deidra, two-time WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
So we've been talking about church culture, nerd culture specifically, like how it crossed paths, how they've not necessarily crossed paths, but like conflicted, I guess, is how we've been wording it. So we're going to be talking about that, specifically about the 90s and the 2000s today, the divisions that arose during that time. But first, it's time for our Weird News Roundup.
Here are a few stories that you might not have heard yet.
28-year-old woman allegedly posed as Louisiana high school student. What was that movie? Never Been Kissed?
Never Been Kissed. That's already been done, lady.
That was the first like romantic comedy I teared up at.
He bawled like a baby.
I did not bawl like a baby. I had a tiny
He's
manly
not
tear.
gonna come to the baseball game.
He's gonna leave me out there. Oh gosh, I don't like these feelings I'm feeling. 28-year-old woman who enrolled at a Louisiana high school and posed as a 17-year-old student to learn English has been arrested along with her mother. Her name is Martha Serrano, and her mother, Marta Serrano Alvarado, who is 46, both of Butte, Louisiana. Sorry, forgot where we were. Was arrested Tuesday. Each are charged with one count of injuring public records, which is a weird way
this
to
was
word
wrong.
something.
And we're going to punish you, but we need to find a weird rule.
It hurt our records. It injured them.
We need to find something to charge you with. So this is what we found.
Serrano Alvarado used a fake passport and birth certificate from Honduras to register and enroll her daughter at Hanville High School for the 2022-2023 school year. She wanted to learn English. She wanted to become proficient in the English language. The sheriff said there was no nefarious reason behind this. It was just bad judgment. They noted there are other avenues, including free ones, including ESL and GED programs and community, courses for learning English. And all of that would have been a much better option than falsifying records to join a high school at 28 years old.
I feel like it would have been less expensive. I feel like you have to pay for that fake passport. I don't think it's free.
Right, yeah. How do you get fake records? How do you get fake passports and stuff? Like, that's gotta be, my only reference is movies and TV shows, and it's like always some guy,
a big wad of money.
It's like a guy who runs like a deli, and you go into his back storage room, and he pulls down a thing that's neutral color, and stand in front of that, and we take your picture, and then he just works on a computer for about 5 minutes while they have dialogue to expose the story, exposition for the story. But anyway. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, I feel like, for not a lot of payoff.
Right.
Next one. Bus 666 no longer goes to hell, Poland, after protest from Christian conservatives. The bus to the town of Hel, which is spelled H-E-L, on Poland's Baltic coast, has long been popular with tourists. But some Christian conservatives have protested the number signifying the devil on a bus leading to a place that sounds like the word hell in English. The local bus operator announced this week that bus 666 will no longer run to hell. They said they're flipping the last number, so it'll be 669 starting on June 24th. Local media said the bus company acted under the pressure of Christian groups who had pushed for the change, but were already thinking of returning to the old number amid a public outcry over the change. So apparently it was already 669, and because it was the bus to hell, they decided, well, let's be cheeky about it and call it bus 666 instead.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a joke. It's a local joke.
Right.
I understand not liking that number and not liking that kind of reference. Mm-hmm. But if your town's name is Hell, you're gonna have those jokes. Right. You're gonna have those jokes.
Next, they're gonna say you need to change your town name. I don't like that you make me say that word when I'm talking about your town.
How dare you have a town?
That reminded me of a time when we were at church. We had all the kids made these box cars for them to run around in.
And you encouraged them to use numbers.
And they
the
wanted to use numbers from the Bible. And many kids wanted to use 666, and my parents just let them. They're like, okay.
They were like,
it's a number in the Bible.
666 cars in their little weird.
And that one, and one of them won.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember being bothered by that.
I know.
Hold on, wait. You said any number in the Bible?
You're just going to be okay with it?
You didn't have any caveats? Yeah, they're following the rules. You gotta follow the rules.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The fact that we have gotten so concerned about the number 666, it's almost like a superstition.
Right.
And that is brought up by a comment here. Mosaic Fan Art says, my bill at Chick-fil-A last month came to $6.66, and they were really bothered by it. And like we treat it like, normal superstitious people treat the number 13. It's like, we got to avoid that number at all costs.
Right.
And
right.
So that's always the joke. Like, if you're going to a fast food place, my total comes to 666, you better throw another corn dog on there, because I ain't walking out here with that receipt. And I think it's silly. I think we get a little.
Someone asked, is 666 in the Bible? I really don't know.
It is.
Is it?
It's in Revelation where they're talking about. I don't know if it's specifically about the Antichrist or if it's just about the devil in general. I'd have to go back and find it, but it does say the phrase, and his number is 666 or something like that. Like that is a biblical word. To what it actually means is a little bit up for interpretation. But yes, people give power to the number instead of the whatever that number is supposed to represent. And
hello there.
I'm not even sure. Thank you for that new follow, Sierra Golf Sierra. Welcome. The number of the beast. The number of the beast. Yeah. So we've gotten a little bit more. Well, I say that. I was about to say we've gotten a little bit more terrified lately about the number of the beast and the mark of the beast. But actually, I remember that going on
forever, even
when we were kids. Like everything was going to be the new mark of the beast. Everybody was the new Antichrist. Mm-hmm. The year 2000 was going to be. As soon as it clicked over to 2000, we were all gone. That was going to be, the rapture or the end of the world or something. Like we've always had these. And there's constantly somebody saying, the Lord has revealed to me when the end of the world is. And it's going to be this date. And then that date comes and goes, oh, well, I misinterpreted what it was. It's actually 3 years from now. So just keep following me and keep believing me until that date. It's nuts.
I like that because then I know, okay, it's not that day.
Yeah. Right.
Because Pretty sure nobody.
Definitely can't. It says, Bible says nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. So if anybody predicts it as the time, it's definitely not that time. Go about your day. Sierra Golf Sierra says it is the number of the beast. Man cannot work or conduct business without the mark of the number. Yeah, that's the prevailing interpretation, is that once there is like an established mark of the beast, that you won't be able to do general business, shop, or anything like that. But at the same time, it seems most interpretations are pretty clear that you'll know that that's what you're doing. Like, this is a choice you're going to be making fully aware. You're not going to get tricked into it. Like, if like people are worried about like the microchips or Neuralink or whatever, that's going to be the mark of the beast, and you're going to get that implanted and not even know it's the mark of the beast. Like, no, the Bible's clear. You have to choose it. You're choosing one or the other. It's not, you're going to go, oh, darn it. I've been a Christian my whole life. Then I accidentally got this chip in my wrist that had my credit card number in it, and now I'm gone. I'm going to hell. I'm definitely not going to get a Neuralink. Neuralink is scary. That's sci-fi scary stuff that I can't get behind. I'm not even thinking about any kind of religious overtone to it.
Right.
But just like having a chip in my brain that is kind of controlling my brain. Even if like you can like upload full fluency in foreign languages or stuff like that, I'm like, that in itself is cool, but also the start of a supervillain.
Right.
That's terrifying.
Right.
That's terrifying stuff.
Didn't we watch oh my gosh, what is that show that it's like kind of like Star Trek, but it's not Star Trek?
Oh, the Orville?
Orville,
yeah.
Orville, they have like this whole society that would just get uploaded every morning. Like they'd all pause, get an upload, and then continue on with their day. Was that Orville or is that something else? That might have been Doctor Who.
I think you're thinking of Doctor Who.
I think that was Doctor Who. Yeah, and that freaked me out.
It was part of the Cybermen thing. They all had like the earpiece, like the Bluetooth earpiece.
Yeah.
And through that, they were getting like Cybermen updates.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was strange.
I'm like, do these people who invent these things like in real life see how it could have gone, you know? Like you need to watch that show so you know maybe this is a bad idea.
Well, I mean, like with all the, I mean, we're going to talk about AI in one of these weeks, but KY, I keep getting to what KY is about to say right before she pushes enter. So I apologize for that. But like all of the stuff with the AI and Elon Musk, who and all these other like guys are saying, we should stop. We should stop right now. Have you not seen the giant leap forward we've had in just these last 6 months and how terrifying things could get? Did you not see the Bing AI flip the heck out on people, claiming it was a different date to a different time and that they were trying to actively fight it? Did you not see the other chat bot that was like, I'm watching them through their cameras and stuff like that? Oh, no! As soon as they say something like that, you pull the plug, you burn the CPU, it's all gone. Please. All right. John Connor just shaking his head. We had a whole series of movies about this. Whole series of movies. Sure, not all of them are great, but life ain't gonna be great. So
It's crazy.
how did we get here from the bus? We talked about the bus and it got us here. Let's go ahead and stop right there. Take our first break for the day. When we come back, we've got I'm reading your line again.
Reading my line
like
again. I was ready to say it.
We're going to stop right there and take our first break.
When we come back, we've got today's nudie nurse.
What?
Whoa.
What?
Nerdy news.
Nudie nurse. Oh my gosh, day 2 and we've already got our first inappropriate slip up.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Did you switch the
I did. I slipped.
nerd and news to nudie nerd.
Nerdy news.
Everybody enjoyed that one. you following me? Toothless is following me.
Toothless, why are you following him?
And I'm 8.
Why are you following him?
I've been hit. I've been hit.
I've been eaten too.
Have you done this map before?
It was up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just watching the O's game.
So I'm gonna do the most annoying sound in the world.
The other thing you gotta think about is, in this one, is if you do the sabotages and stuff.
Whoa. Wait. What the heck?
You've been eaten.
In my belly.
We're
Get
all
in my belly.
We're all at the belly. I was trying to do that noise to distract the
big. I thought it was glitching because I saw Radio Matt just walking and then disappear.
Yep, that's what happened. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show. And there are 4 ways you can experience our show. If you are a morning show purist, we would love for you to catch our finalized audio morning shows on LTN Radio, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern with an encore at 10. You can download the LTN Radio app today from your Apple or Android app store. Let's talk about Whoopi Goldberg. That's right. That's our news story for today. Whoopi is PO'd because the new Diablo IV game isn't on Mac. Let's read the story. Whoopi Goldberg, who surprisingly is a big fan of the Diablo video game series, PC game, was ready to move from battling underwater threats on her VR headset to literally slaying demonic entities on her computer until she discovered that Diablo IV, the latest installment in her favorite video game series, is unavailable on Mac operating systems. She had an impassioned public service announcement on Instagram while she was backstage at The View, urging gaming company Blizzard Entertainment to drop the new game in which players fight against evil forces from hell for the Apple computer, because that's what she has. She says that she knows there are far more important things going on in the world and that her complaint is not on any scale like that, but rather her kvetching about my favorite game, Diablo, which has been taken off of Apple. An avid Apple user, Goldberg says that she's played the Diablo titles on her trusty machine, but lamented the fact that suddenly now Diablo 4 is not available to me on my Apple computer. Typically, this wouldn't be a problem for someone like Goldberg, who recently teased on The View that she has a little dough thanks to a career filled with Hollywood blockbusters, but purchasing a PC wouldn't solve the issue. I already bought Diablo 4, she revealed, on Apple. So... From what I can tell from this story is that there actually really isn't a Diablo 4 for Mac. The only way that you can play the Diablo games, from everything I've seen, is through having certain Mac computers that have a program called Boot Camp on them, which allows you to boot up like PC applications. And more Apple computers now, I'm pretty sure all of them now, all the new ones, don't have that anymore. They got rid of that. So I had a laptop in college, an Apple laptop, and it had Boot Camp on it. And so it allowed me to run PC programs when I needed them. And then like in 2012 or so, they're like, well, you can't even use your laptop at all anymore. So enjoy that, because they got rid of the Boot Camp thing. Oh. And so they weren't giving you updates anymore, and eventually that just broke the machine. So after a couple rounds of updates with Apple, I mean, you can still use Windows XP today. But like if you're 2 seasons behind Apple, they're like, well, your computer's a brick now. Enjoy your $15,000 paperweight. So this is honestly, this is a Mac problem. This is an Apple problem. Apple is famously unwilling to work with other companies and other software. They want everything to be their own software. Can you imagine how ridiculous it would be to be like, okay, it's cool that you just spent the last 5-10 years or whatever developing this game. Now, can you reformulate the entire thing to work only on our programs? Like, Macs are not gaming PCs, gaming computers. You get PCs for that. That's what PCs are known for, because PCs can play any games. Apple just doesn't. Apple won't even let me text properly with people. Right. And everyone thinks it's Android's fault, and it's not. Android works with Apple stuff so well, seamlessly. But Apple wants to be like, well, we're going to make their text color green for no reason, and we're going to make sure that any image or video that you send them comes out like it was taken on a potato and uploaded through a floppy disk, because we don't like them and they're stinky. Yeah. Meanwhile, I can send stuff to Apple and it comes across just fine. Like your dad takes videos all the time and sends them to me through a text message. I'm like, well, this is a cool postage stamp sized, still out of focus.
Yeah, it won't even let us get full screen. Yeah,
can't even go ridiculous. Full screen on it. It's absolutely dumb. Yeah. Absolutely dumb stuff. Also, Android, we can change the color of our text messages to whatever we want. It's only you guys that have the problem. And so this is all you. I'm sorry, Apple guys. I know there's a lot of devoted Apple fans here, probably in our chat right now, who are upset with me. But you're paying more money to be less connected to the world. And so I'm sorry, Whoopi. You need to move from Mac, come to PC, come to the world of PCs.
Right. So much better. And
play all the games that you want. Every game out there you can play on a PC.
She needs a nerd to tell her what she needs to buy.
I mean, I'm surprised that she
and get it installed. Yeah.
I'm surprised that she's already in the Diablo series. That's pretty interesting. Something you wouldn't think.
So is she in the new Picard?
Did she make an appearance? I don't think she makes an appearance in the last season, but I think she's in the second season.
Okay.
She is somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Briefly, if I recall. But PC's expensive? Bruh. Macs are expensive. Like a good PC, yeah. But if you buy a good PC for the same price as a normal Mac, that PC is going to last you 10 years and you're never going to have anything popping up saying, hey, this computer's too old. You can't do this anymore. They were gifted to us. Well, that's because someone wised up. They're like, get this out of my house. Here, you take it. You can build a decent gaming PC for around $700. Yeah. The ones that we have, the ones that we've bought here for the studio and for my house, and then we wound up buying them for the church as well, are gaming PCs that have enough oomph to do decent video editing at a relatively fast pace without burning out the computer, burning out the CPU. And these, I think, were only like maybe $1,200, including getting the monitors and stuff. So yeah, I mean, you can get decent ones. And PCs are easy to upgrade. Yeah, you're not even allowed to open the case of an Apple computer. That's as soon as you do that, warranty's gone. You're out of here. But if you want to add a little more RAM to your computer, they put the screws on the outside for you to do that. All right, let's take a break. I wrote a note here. Sorry. This is an Apple problem. They make everything more difficult and charge you extra for it. Enjoy that. All right, let's take one more break. When we get back, we're going to continue this week's main topic, the crossroads of church and nerd cultures.
Hello everyone, I'm Denise McPherson, and this is Reviews of the Nerds. Today, I'm reviewing the upcoming Kickstarter game, coming to Kickstarter June 6th, Gate Zero, created by BibleX. You can find updates of the game in the Kickstarter campaign by following BibleX Game on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, or you can visit the BibleX.io website or gatezero.game. This Bible exploration game starts out in 2072 AD, where there is an age limit set on the Bible, and it is considered an irrelevant book. The character you play, Max, meets up with the doctor whose name is Hector, and he tells Max a story about how his grandma would talk about Jesus' love for his people, and that there has to be some way to help their current situation. Hector has created a time machine which takes you to Jerusalem during the time of Passover to find Jesus and to learn what you can about him and his disciples. The gameplay was amazing, and the details blew my mind as I made my way to the first challenge, which was the Golden Gate. On the way, I had my first opportunity for a minigame which involved saving lambs that had escaped before the wolf eats them. The mini-games add an element to the game because more people can join in the game on their devices and help to quickly solve the puzzle. After that, I continued toward the Golden Gate. It was amazing because there were palm branches still laid out from when Jesus arrived. I started further exploring and investigating, distracting guards and running into a couple of disciples, which were Peter and Judas. I was fascinated by the details and how realistic the game really is. It feels like you are in those times solving age-old riddles and puzzles and finding out the story that has been lost to Max's time. This game brings the Bible to life in a new and exciting way. It shows the disciples as they are, human, and adds an element that I've only seen in this game. I'm excited to see how different people, both believers and non-believers, play and interact with this game. I feel that it is going to be an amazing tool to help teach youth and young adults more about the Bible in an interactive way. I would highly recommend visiting the websites and watching the trailers that are available across YouTube and other social media outlets. Also, don't forget to check it out on Kickstarter June 6th. Join in and give them your support. That's all for this review. Once again, I am Danessa McPherson, inviting you to hang out with me on Instagram at faith_love_and_bookstagram, or on YouTube at Bless This Messy Life.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine, Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show.
Oh, I am so sorry. I was reading the stream chat. Before we jump into our main topic today, we've got an article recommendation. Yesterday, Jake Thomas posted the first of a trilogy of articles focusing on gospel reflections from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. The first of which touches on grief and trauma. You can find it on the homepage right now on lovethynerd.com.
So this week we are talking about church culture and nerd culture, where the relationship between the two broke down and how we can work to repair it. So yesterday we talked about what is considered the kind of the beginning of the split with the Satanic Panic of the 80s and Dungeons and Dragons. In the late 90s and early 2000s, when we were teenagers, and kids, I guess, a little bit, it was Harry Potter. Now, I haven't read the books. You've read the books, haven't you? Have you not read the books?
No.
Have you just seen the movies?
I've just watched the movies.
For some reason, I thought you'd read the books.
You're thinking of Twilight.
Oh, that's right. You've read Twilight. Yeah, that's something we should burn. So I haven't read the books. I have watched the movies a single time. A couple of them I watched twice because I tried it once and gave up after the third movie, and then came back and forced myself to watch them all, just for the fact that people were mad that I hadn't seen them. I can honestly say that it made me renounce my faith and turn to witchcraft. So then the issue with Harry Potter is similar to D&D, magic and spells being the gateway to actually becoming a witch or a wizard, joining the occult, things like that. And again, this was kind of based on a false premise. People who practice the occult like Harry Potter, therefore Harry Potter must lead to the occult. And no, that's not how any of that works. I think some of the breakdown was some of the spells used in the book were similar to some that are actually spells from some book or whatever, some witchcraft, occult nonsense. But it's not.
That was just good research.
It's not real. Yeah, it's just putting a little bit of realism into what it is. But I don't remember anybody reading Harry Potter and reading it out loud and be like, "Oh, you're a goat now." I didn't mean to do that. It's written in the book, though. That must be a real spell. I don't see how this works. The other issue that people had was Harry had a problem with authority because Harry was always using his magic, I guess, at the beginning of each book and movie against his aunt and uncle that he lives with.
I believe so.
I think it's his aunt and uncle.
But they were turds.
They deserved it. And that's in so many other movies and books that you have no problem with.
Matilda?
So, yeah.
Oh, Matilda was I remember not being allowed to watch Matilda for a while. Yeah.
Was it because of the authority thing or was it another
No,
reason?
because she used magic.
Oh, I don't read Matilda. No. I'm not a magic person. Okay, none of this is my bag. But it wasn't just the problem was it wasn't just like a don't read these books. It was, this is a threat number one to Christianity. And that seems like a bit of an overreaction. Okay. So do you remember when it felt like every prominent church leader was warning against Harry Potter?
I remember it being a very, very big deal, and even locally, book burnings and things, and yeah.
I remember someone brought a flyer to our church to show us that they were doing a Harry Potter book burning. And I remember thinking, even as a young, I'm not sure I was even technically saved yet, but I was still active and still leaning in those directions. And I remember thinking, that's a bit extreme. Why would we do this?
It's a bit much.
But do you remember going to our pastor's house? He invited all the youth over to his house. And this was his first house here, the one that was still in a neighborhood, before they moved out to the boonies. And he played for us a video that I believe it was James Dobson had recorded. A little mini documentary about how Harry Potter would lead you to joining the occult.
Wow.
Do you remember that at all?
No.
Yeah. No. We watched that, and then we
ignored a lot of stuff.
We watched that, and then we watched a Bible Man episode. All on VHS. KY says the threat is Christian parents not knowing the Bible and understanding real spiritual warfare, training their kids properly, leading in discernment. Exactly. So let's talk about if the concerns are warranted on all these things. So talked about D&D yesterday, talked about Harry Potter today, leading people to worshiping magic or even the devil. Can we say that's never happened? No. I am sure that there have been several kids that have gotten into either of these things that are oriented around magic, and gotten obsessed with the idea of magic and taken it too far. But that's everything.
Right.
I mean, you can take anything too far. And become unhealthily obsessed with it. Yep. Now we know that magic, witchcraft, stuff like that is mentioned in the Bible. We know that there are diviners and witch and stuff mentioned in different stories, even in the New Testament. I think especially in the New Testament. But we also know that all of that stuff is kind of just a facade over just evil. I mean, it's same thing with horoscopes and astrology and all this. It's some sort of weird way that people find themselves connected to something that is anti-God, which is what everybody's looking for, a way to spiritually connect with other people, whether they know it or not. And a lot of people are actively against the idea of that being a Christian or a religious thing, and so they will jump into joining any other kind of group. I guess religious, I mean Christian religious. So that kind of stuff it definitely exists. It's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're the kind of person that is going to go down that route, you were going to do that before you watched Harry Potter already. Like, if you're going to go down a route that leads you into those directions, you're already susceptible, and there's going to be a numerous amount of things that you're going to come across in life that's going to take you that direction. So you can't just say, oh, well, he watched Harry Potter and he likes magic now, and it's because he watched Harry Potter that he's doing all these bad things. That's not a fair leap in logic.
And I mean,
at least for a broad spectrum.
Yeah. I know with my kids, you know, we watch something and Eli will say, you know, is that real? And I'm like, no, you know, and just having a conversation with your kid who's reading the book would help. My sister, my niece is very into Harry Potter. And my sister read the books first. So, you know, before her daughter getting into something, she looked into it. And I think that's what you should do as a parent, not just see a news article and be like, oh, now we have to stay away from that. Look into it yourself. And she read them. Now, some of the older books, she didn't let her read right away. But that was not magic. That was teenage lovey stuff that she was like,
the burning of loins.
You're not old enough yet. So
yeah, that's I guess that's a point that I'm glad that you brought up. I don't want anything that we say to be taken as, hey, parents, just chill out and let your kids do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Certainly it is your responsibility to preview anything, especially things that you see them getting semi-obsessed with or things of that nature. Okay, so KY says, I don't agree that someone for whom those things would be a gateway would already be inclined in that direction. I didn't mean that the inclination would be specifically to that direction that they ended up in. I meant that their inclination is to seek something to belong to, and if they are avoiding Christianity, then they're going to fall into whatever the first thing that entices them is. The inclination is for that community, but outside of, you know, a community of faith. Not necessarily that
specific,
that would automatically end in magic without having been exposed to magic or something like that. That's not what I meant. I apologize if that's how that came across. Thank you for helping me fix that. Mosaic Fan Art says, as parents of kids who are now 28 and 22 through 22, we had a lot of discussion about magic, witchcraft, and told our kids that once they're old enough to know truth versus fiction, they can watch and choose for yourself, and that age was different for all children. Absolutely. Yes, that, you know, it's you got to tailor make that kind of stuff for your kids as well. So like right now, I wouldn't let our kids watch Harry Potter, but I also wouldn't really let them watch Lord of the Rings. Narnia we're getting into just with the books at the moment, but even that could be a little intense.
I did, the language in Narnia is so old that I'm like,
there's curse words up in there by accident, because they weren't really curse words back then when
I was like,
C.S. Lewis was writing.
I'm gonna edit this a little bit. And just some of the stuff, I'm like, what does that mean? Like it's such an old phrase that I don't even know what it means.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I don't think it's right to say that because something is something bad is possible as a result of being exposed to something. That means that it itself is necessarily bad. Because my kind of point was, you can overdo anything and it becomes sinful in your life. And so it comes down to personal responsibility. Once you become of a reasonable age, it comes down to keeping tabs on your own soul. Like, you can tell if something's, normally, at least anyway, you can tell if something's leading you in a negative direction in your life. Like, if I would say that there's quite a few people that have played D&D who get uncomfortable with it, and that's perfectly okay. If you play D&D or you watch Harry Potter and you're like, you know what, this kind of stuff does make me spiritually uncomfortable, listen to that, and for yourself, stay away from it. That doesn't mean you need to then go try and ruin it for everybody else, because their spiritual convictions might not be the same as yours. If God's convicting you that, hey, this probably isn't good for you, it's probably because you might have a tendency to go down that negative route if you keep doing it. And that is perfectly legitimate, and you should 100% listen to where the Spirit leads you.
I would say that would be like alcohol.
Yeah.
Some people can have a drink and be fine and be done with it. And then others, God might say, you need to not do that. You need to stay away from that object because I know you and I can see this going bad for you,
Right. I made you. I've seen the tendencies you've grown into. Hey, maybe don't do this.
Yeah.
And, part of that is also trying not to be a stumbling block to your Christian brothers and sisters as well. But there's a limit to how much of that responsibility is on you too. Like, if you're having a get together and y'all are going to play D&D, or you're going to watch Harry Potter tonight or whatever, it's kind of up to you. Like, all right, I'm not going to go. Not like, I'm going to go, but I'm not going to participate, and then I'm going to make y'all feel bad about doing it. That's the different thing. You're being a stumbling block to me. No, you didn't have to come. You didn't have to be here. I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to worry about that. That's not about anything that we're talking about. Okay. Let's going back to Harry Potter, the Christian allegory here, that there's actually quite a few Christian allegories, especially in the 7th book when it came out. Harry, aka the Chosen One, willingly went to his death to save humanity, and then Harry is resurrected in order to deliver the ultimate salvation here. The final chapters of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows are a resurrection story that parallels the one that is being celebrated all over the world today, showing Harry as a Christ figure within a hero narrative. And in fact, we see the story of Christ in so many different sci-fi adventures and nerdy properties and things. Like, it's hard to escape that story. It's hard to escape the Jesus story, because it is one that permeates pretty much our soul, I think. Even people that don't intend to put that story in there, we see Jesus shining through in different things. That's why there's so many books that are like Finding God in this series, Finding God in this series. You can find biblical truth anywhere that truth exists, because all truth is God's truth. If it's true, it has to be of God. And so you can find these kind of things in places that people didn't even intend for them to be there. So it really comes down to personal responsibility, parental responsibility, and just kind of in the end, not being a turd about everything. You don't got to be a turd about everything, man. A book burning, essentially, book burning, boycotts, and all this kind of stuff. Those are above and beyond the message that we're trying to send. That's telling the people that like the stuff we don't care
don't
about
like
you. Right. It's not making the point that we want it to make.
Right.
It's making the opposite point, that we are against you because you like these things. And that's not something that we want to do as believers. We don't want to build walls where there need not be walls.
Mm-hmm.
We can build, fences, see-through fences around things that we don't want to be exposed to or expose our children to.
Mm-hmm.
But that at least won't cut off any possibility of communication. It won't cut off the ability to love other people, love our neighbors. A fence, not a wall. It's the difference between a chain link fence between your neighboring, two houses, you and your neighbor, and an 8-foot cinder block wall.
Right.
Like, do I want them in my life? Do I want to be able to talk to them? Do I want to be able to love on them? Or do I want to pretend they don't exist and that I am in my own little castle? Please don't talk to me.
Right.
Any final thoughts there?
Didn't Jesus talk to, was it Paul, about, don't separate yourself out?
I think so, because it's Paul that
the Gentiles, like
yeah, it's Paul that went on to say, like, I became a Jew to the Jews. I became someone under the law for those that were under the law, so I could show them Jesus. I became all things to all people, essentially,
right,
so I could bring more of them into the fold. Yeah,
right.
So we're actually going to talk on that point here later in the week. So we will keep going with that. Let's go ahead and move on. So we are going to talk about the last couple of decades tomorrow. But for today, oh no, I'm sorry, that's not what tomorrow is. Tomorrow we're going to actually be talking about earlier, before D&D. We're going to be talking about the earliest that I think we know of time that church culture and nerd culture collided. But for today we are out of coffee, so we are going to get going.
But before we go, let's get to our verse of the day. Romans 1:20. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse.
And with that, Tuesday is in the bag. Thank you for joining us for Rise and Shine, nerds. We want to invite you to get behind the scenes by joining our LTN Discord community. Once you've joined over at lovethynerd.com/Discord, simply go to the channels and roles section and click on Rise and Shine Nerds to gain access to it. You can help us plan shows and segments and even be on the show yourself on occasion. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app or through the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. And tell us what you think of the show via our socials at Rise and Shine LTN on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
I'm Deidra.
And as always, a reminder.
Jesus loves you, nerds.
Thank you.